have a friend who's a priest down in Georgia, and I was down visiting with him and talking to one of his parishioners, and I just asked her, how are you doing? She said, I'm blessed. I said, well, how blessed? She said, I'm too blessed to be stressed, Father. So we haven't done a call and response in a while, so this is our new one. How are you? Blessed. How blessed? Too blessed to be stressed. All right, so remember that. A couple months back, I had scheduled this weekend to be our diocesan annual campaign kickoff, our spiel, our Lenten appeal thing. So a lot of priests decided to push it off. I have come to the conclusion, no, we're going to stick with it this week, even in light of the bankruptcy from last week. And the reason I want to stick with it is I know a lot of you all have received those letters in the mail asking you to support the diocesan annual campaign. And I know some probably are like, all right, and wrote their check and sent it in. Others probably got that and maybe were confused, like why are we even doing that this year? Others perhaps anger or frustration kind of set in again. So I kind of just want to address that all right away, right now. But first things first, I want to say thank you to the parish. Thank you. St. Mary's is a very generous parish. And I wouldn't lie to you, trust me. You really are a generous parish. And not just generous financially, but a lot of people really give of their time, their effort, their energies to support the ministries of the parish too. And it's interesting, as I've made my rounds around different parishes, generally it's parishes that are very generous that you constantly are hearing things like, oh, there's so much more we could be doing, we got to give ourselves a little bit more, and they don't recognize that generosity. Whereas those who tend to be less generous are like, oh, we give plenty, right? You happen to fall in that former category, not the latter. So thank you for that generosity. Last year, we met the diocesan annual campaign goal. This year, our goal is $125,000 and some change. So the first, I guess, practical question is, why is there still a diocesan annual campaign, or how does this work in light of bankruptcy? Like, how do you give to a bankrupt entity? And I think it's important, this is me receiving legal information from others. I don't quite grasp it, but within bankruptcy, when an entity is in bankruptcy, what's being calculated or being used to pay for various things. It's its assets, its reserve assets. The operational expenses are still used for the operations of the entity. And what that means is all the money that's raised to the diocesan campaign, it's basically earmarked for the ministries, the missions, the programs of the diocese. It's the operating expenses of the diocese. And so that goes to the missions, the ministries of the diocese. So that's kind of the confusion part. But if you got that letter, right, and you looked at it, and maybe there was some anger or frustration, know that you're definitely not alone in that. Before you throw it away, I just propose, this is my proposition. Take the envelope, put it somewhere where you'll see it, so that it just reminds you to at least have a conversation with God about it. Right? Just have a conversation with Jesus about what you're going to do in this process. I want to share kind of how I process the thing. Right? So, I get the envelope, and instead of when I write the check, Diocese of Harrisburg is written on that name line. But in reality, the Diocese of Harrisburg is just a middleman. And what I'm thinking about as I give my gift is those who are at the end of the gift. Right? What I mean, I think of, I've had people in my office that I've had to refer to Catholic Charities for marital counseling or just family counseling in some way. It's the diocesan campaign that goes to support Catholic Charities. Or I think of the couples that I'm preparing for marriage, right? And they're going to some conference, or they're they're meeting with mentors who are trained by the diocese. It's our diocesan campaign that goes to make that possible. Or I think of all those who are going to be praying in our chapel next door. Part of that whole renovation process was with the buildings and grounds support of the diocese, which is supported by our diocesan campaign. Or the people that I've buried at St. Mary's Cemetery in Lancaster. All of our diocesan cemeteries are supported and cared for through the diocesan campaign. Or I think the young adults of the area in Lancaster, if you've ever noticed, young adult ministry doesn't happen at a parish level, it happens at more of a deanery level. And so the theology on taps, the retreats that take place, that's all supported through the diocesan campaign. It'd be hard to have that ministry without it. And then also, the last 4 years of my life, I've spent as vocation director and as the campus minister over at Millersville. And so both of those ministries are almost 100% supported through the diocesan campaign. And so as vocation director, I had to send a check every year to the seminaries to pay for the tuition of 25 guys, make sure they had food on their table, to run retreats like the Quo Vadis Days, Fiat Days retreats. All of that was 100% diocesan campaign. Millersville, which is near and dear to my heart. Our campus ministries in the diocese, very, very few are attached to parishes. They're almost all diocesan run and supported through the fees for the diocesan campaign. So to kind of show you just how I put a face to the person at the end of the line of my gift, I brought one of my Millersville students with me, and I just asked her to give a couple minutes to share how the diocesan campaign has really made Millersville campus ministry possible. So I'll ask Madeline to come on up.
Good morning. My name is Madeline Staley. To begin, I would like to tell you about myself. I'm a senior at Millersville University, studying to be a high school chemistry teacher. I also played field hockey for the university. I grew up in a Catholic home in San Diego, California, and came to Millersville for the great weather. Just kidding. I came to Millersville for the opportunities they presented to me, both academically and athletically. When I first looked into Millersville, my mom was worried that I would be so far from home and wanted to make sure I could still make it to church. She was nervous because at first I wouldn't have a car, so I couldn't travel too far off campus. I looked further into Millersville and discovered that the university did in fact have a Newman Center and a church on campus, so I would be able to walk to church from my dorm or apartment. I became involved with the Newman Center as a freshman, attending Sunday Mass and some daily Masses when my crazy schedule would allow. As I became comfortable with being busy and working around my practice schedule, I was able to go to more daily Masses and adoration and more Newman-sponsored activities. This included Mass and adoration, Wednesday night dinner, themed events, and the week-long spring break retreat, to just name a few of the wonderful things the Newman Center does for the campus community. These experiences have changed my life, and I am so grateful. I am also grateful for people like you. I am grateful that you support Catholic campus ministries through donations and prayer. Because of all of you, the Newman Center has the ability to host activities for college students to help them seek Jesus and to help them grow in their faith. The experiences I have had through Catholic campus ministries have changed my relationship with Jesus and in turn has changed my life. Thank you again for all of your support of Catholic campus ministries. Even though I graduate soon, I pray that with your support, Catholic campus ministries continues to change lives and change the world. Thank you.
So again, just pray with it. Again, as I write my check, it's the people I'm thinking of are those hundreds of people that I know personally, that have come to know Jesus personally, and come to know his love and his mercy through all the ministries, the missions, the programs that the Diocesan Annual Campaign provides for. And ultimately, if you put it before God and you know God wants you to give, but you just can't in good conscience give to the diocese, you still have to give, right? Don't let it consume you or turn you in on yourself. Make sure you give in some way to somebody in need, whether through the parish or through other charitable ways. But make sure that if we're blessed by God, we still have to be a blessing to others. So I'll give you time. The cards will be in the pew for this week and the next 3 weeks. You can fill them out and drop them into the collection. So today we're just going to take a couple minutes of silence. If you want to fill it out today and drop it in. If not, take it home and again pray with it. God bless you.